Hello everyone, welcome back to Kirkley's Guitar School. In today's electric guitar lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play Message in a Bottle by The Police. This is the second lesson to follow on from a riff lesson that I taught where the community asked for a full lesson on the whole song, so here it is. I'd urge you to head to the first link in the description where you can download a full free tab for this, full free transcription from the first link in the description. There's no, you don't have to sign up for anything, you don't have to give me your email address, there's no monkey business, you just literally go on the website and click download PDF, it's really that straightforward. If you like the way that I teach and you'd like to get a little bit deeper with this song, I'd urge you to check out the Kirkley's Guitar School Academy. This is my membership platform where I give students the opportunity that like the way that I teach to go a little bit deeper with each song lesson that I post here on YouTube. There's an additional playthrough video and technical focus lesson and downloadable backing tracks that all go as part of the membership. You can join that with a 14-day free trial. I'd urge you to go check that out and let me know what you think. It's a cool little community that we've got going over there, and if you like the way that I teach, it's a great way to kind of get that a little bit more of me. Okay, so I've already taught you how to play the riff. If you've already learned how to play that, skip on the video and we'll talk about the verses and the choruses. I'm still going to cover it in this video just for continuity, so it's all together. Let me just bang that on the screen to start with. That's the riff that everybody wants to learn. Just watch out for your stretches here with this. The overwhelming feedback from the riff lesson that I delivered on this was ow. Now it should be an ooh and not an ow. Rather, you might see me stretching, making these really big stretches. I do a technical focused lesson in the academy on how to get all these stretches working, so make sure to check that out if you are struggling. But my advice to you would be, in a nutshell, is basically, even if you can see me spanning those, I've got really big hands, so I can span 5 or 6 frets quite easily. I'm not expecting the same of you. If you need to do those two, then those two, by all means be my guest. Whatever you've got to do to make it work, but it should be an ooh, not an ow. And if you need to do some spider exercises before playing this, especially in the colder winter months like we're in January at time of recording, make sure you play a little bit, even if it's just some spiders before you go on. So, right, let's have a look at this then. Now, these chords are really interesting. It's like 2 stacked power chords on top of each other. And it's got this lovely... Andy Summers uses this all the time. He in Message in a Bottle, he used these chords. He uses it in Every Breath You Take as well, along as with a couple of others. And it's basically like, I'm going to play the C sharp note on the 4th fret of the A string with my index finger. I'm going to stack a power chord on top of it, so I'm going to play this G sharp with the 3rd finger, and that's on the 6th fret of the next string. And then I'm going to stack another on top of it, which I'm going to add this 8th fret of the G string on top. And it's all built from this. He's taking this chord and moving it to different places on the neck. So that's your first one. We're then going to move it up a string and up a fret, and we're going to play 5, 7, and 9. And you can hear how we sort of rush into that 5 a little bit. Just practice those first 2 for me, please. Now you'll see there's a 7 here. This 7 belongs to the next phrase. It's the root note of the next phrase. It's a B note. So we're just going to play that. Can you see how it's tied over? You don't have to pick this 7th fret a second time. This is called a tie. You're playing that 7th fret here in the previous bar, and it actually spills over into the next measure. When a note's in brackets, you don't have to pluck it again. Okay? So we've got 7, 9, 11. Basically what we've just done, but we move it up 2 frets. And then I'm going to go down to fret 2 to F sharp and go 2, 4, 6. After we've played the 6th fret with the pinky, I'd like you to slide it up to the 7th fret. And all in all, those 2 bars glued together looks like that. And I want you to think of it as this is a chord, this is a chord, this is a chord, and this is a chord. There's 4 chords. You've got C sharp, A, B, and then F sharp. Wherever your index finger lands, and remember, when you play that 6th fret over here, pluck it, let it breathe for a second. Can you see how we're playing it for a quaver here? We're playing it lasts for half a beat. You're going to play it, just let it breathe for a second, and then slide it up. Okay. Now, again, like I said, I've got a really wide grip, and not everybody's blessed with that. If you need to go, if you need to play each note individually, that's completely cool. The end result's what's important, not necessarily how that you get in there. As long as you're not doing it in such a way that's going to give you some sort of like carpal tunnel or issues with your tendons. Okay, so I'd like you to practice that. This is the main bulk of the song. I know when I've yet to record the playthrough for this, but I know I'm gonna get my wrist's gonna ache by the time I get to the the end of it. So pause the video and get that under your fingers. Now you'll see on the PDF. The intro, I'm looking at page 1 of the PDF. We're going to play that twice through for the intro, and then we'll go into the verse, and he starts singing, "Oh, I'm just a castaway, I'm lost at sea," is the lyrics. He's going to do that 8 times, and the riff just goes round and round and round. It's a real stamina exercise. It's a good thing to practice. I regularly come back to police songs. There's some really good nutritious learning in it. We're then going to go to the chorus. Now the chorus starts with power chords, and we're going to start with. It's kind of got this what we call a 1-4-5 progression. It uses the 1st, the 4th, and the 5th chords of in this case the A major scale, and we're going to play fret 5, fret 7, fret 7 on the E, the A, and the D strings. And these dashes above it, and PM stands for palm muting. So you're going to play quavers for that whole bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm going to do that exclusively with downstrokes. Now you'll hear I've got a little bit of delay, and we'll talk about tones and stuff in a second, but we're then going to, after a bar of that, move down a string to D5, so that's fret 5, 7 and 7 of the A, the D and the G strings. And there's no palm mute here, I'm going to pluck that and just give it a good smack, and then move it up 2 frets to fret 7, fret 7, fret 9 and fret 9, same strings, for an E5. It's almost a bit Blitzkrieg bop, it's a bit kind of... It's the same chords and the same vibe, but we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... And can you see how this is done twice? Pause the video and get that under your fingers. Now, I think it's really important. We're not using any overdrive in this song. That attitude comes from being quite heavy-handed with the plectrum. This continues on. We're then going to go to an F sharp 5 chord. So we're taking that that power chord shape that we started with, but instead of starting on the 5th fret, we're going to go all the way down to fret number 2, and we're going to play F sharp, C sharp, and F sharp, fret 2, 4, and 4. I'm going to continue the power chord, the palm muting, sorry, in quavers, all downstrokes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then I'm going to go to a D5. Now, I'm pretty sure, instead of going here, I'm pretty sure he's going down here to the bottom of the neck. It sounds ever so slightly different when I've listened to it and when I've watched live clips of them playing it. Now, this D5 down here, if you imagine the triangle of a D major chord, we just don't play the high E string. So we're going to play the open D, the 2nd fret on the 2nd fret on the G string, and then 3rd fret on the B. And we're still going to keep that sort of triangular shape. When I'm teaching children how to play a D chord, I call it the pizza chord because it's a triangle, isn't it? And we're going to just try and pick those. You'll see it looks like I'm playing a D chord. I'm just not picking the high E string. And it does that twice. And you see, I'm playing this lovely Jaguar today, courtesy of Andrew, one of my colleagues here at the school. Thank you very much, Andrew. Can you see how the bridge, I'm just putting my palm in this gap between the back pickup and the bridge of the guitar, and I'm resting that part of my palm over here. This guitar's, we'll talk about guitar tones and stuff towards the back end of the video. It's a bit plinky plonky, is this guitar. I wanted to use it on purpose because Andy Summers did use Fenders quite a lot, but it's whatever you've got will work. Okay, so far in the chorus, we're still on page 1. First bit of the chorus looks like that with the stabs. We're then going to go to F sharp and D7, so we're going down to the bottom end of the neck. This continues for another 2 bars. And I think the lyric is, I hope that someone gets my message in a bottle. Okay? So we're going from power chords. Then we're going to go to C sharp minor. Make sure you go get the free tabs for this because I'll attach a chord sheet to the document for you all to use if you need the chord shapes as well. I'm barring the 4th fret from the A string downwards, and then I'm playing the 6th fret of the B string with my middle finger, and then I'm playing the 5th fret, then the 6th fret on both the D and the G strings. It's sort of like an A minor. If you imagine an A minor with a capo on the 4th fret, and this is all by itself. And what I want you to do is I just want you to pluck all 5 strings of that chord and let it ring for the whole bar. And then we're going to play A major. Now, if you can't get this up here, you can play an A major at the bottom of the neck, but Andy Summers is barring the 5th fret and making this E major shape. So I'm barring the 5th fret, I'm playing the middle finger on the 6th fret of the G string, and then I'm using my ring finger on the 7th fret of the A and 7th fret on the D for my pinky. And it's got this lovely, really iconic, really sounds like the song. And this continues right through to the end of the chorus. We're just going to ping pong between C sharp minor, Sting's doing his ad-libs, message in a bottle, and then you'll hear all of a sudden the tone of the song gets very minor, and that's because they go to F sharp minor, which we're going to bar the 2nd fret of all 6 strings. And we're going to make an E minor shape. So we're going to bar the 2nd fret and use our pinky and our ring fingers to play the 4th fret of the A string and the 4th fret of the D string. And it gives you this lovely kind of... From that point forward, where are we next? Right, okay, we're going into that bit. So far, we have covered the intro, verse 1, and the chorus. We've covered the entire first page, okay? Verse 1 and the chorus. The chorus is quite lengthy, but you'll notice it just kind of does the same thing again and again and again. As we move on to page 2, verse 2 is identical to verse 1. It's also the identical number of repeats. You play it exactly the same. We go back to 8 times, and then we repeat another chorus, just as before. However, as you get to the end of the chorus, we've got a slight variation, because you know when we go between the C sharp and the C sharp and the A to the F down to the F sharp. On the second time round of the chorus, you actually you sort of bat between these 2 chords for twice as long. You see these funny looking brackets? These are called repeat markers. So what this means is this whole line, I want you to play a C, A, you keep batting between them. Once you get to the end, you go right back to the beginning and play it all again. So you're playing this section for twice as long. And then when you do eventually get to the F sharp, you keep the F sharp minor down here, like you've always done. This is tied. What this means is you're going to play this F sharp minor, you're going to strum it, and it lasts for 2 whole bars. So we're connecting these 2 together. You don't have to pluck the chord a second time here. You just pluck it at the beginning. Or you strum the chord and count to 8. That's how I normally do it. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You then strum the chord again, and he does this kind of weird... what's the... There he says. Now this is still an F sharp minor chord, but if you imagine take a D minor and move it up so that with a D minor chord, your index finger's playing the 1st fret of the high E string, isn't it? If you take that shape and you move it all the way up so that your index finger's playing the 5th fret of the high E string, I'm then going to pick the G, the high E, the G, the high E, and then the B. He just puts this lovely little lick in. I think it's also worth adding, there's a couple of little lead guitar bits in it that are quite obviously overdubs. An overdub is something that's put in after the band have recorded it, and Andy Summers will just be adding layers by recording other guitar parts that sit on top of what's previously been recorded. I couldn't find when I make my transcriptions, if you're new to my lessons, I always try and make them from, I'm a working guitar player, I go out playing gigs and make a reasonable portion of my living from going out and playing gigs. Oftentimes I'm the only guitar player on the gig, and I've got to choose whether to go left or right as to if there's multiple guitar parts, which way do I go. I always try and shoe on as many cool bits as I can in, but if it detracts from the overall sound of the band, I will always go for the rhythm stuff instead, and that's the approach that I've taken to this lesson. Okay, so it's got that, and you'll hear a couple of like little lead parts, but nothing really much to write home about. But I could never kind of stitch it in so that you could seamlessly move from the rhythm parts into those. So that's why I haven't put them in today's lesson. So just to finish that off, after you've come to the end of the second chorus and you've got this little F sharp minor figure, you're then going to go. He says you're then going to go into verse 3, and then a third chorus, which is nothing to. Again, it's just the same as what we've previously done. If you think about it, chorus 1, we taught that just as it is. Chorus 2 has got an extension on those C sharp to A's with that funny little F sharp starting on the 5th fret. The third chorus is identical to the first chorus. And then we go into the ending. Let's have a look at the ending. So this is the C sharp to A, like we've had previously on the back end of the chorus, and on the bottom left you'll see the F sharp makes a triumphant return. Following that, we go into the outro. Now you'll see, I'm looking bottom right, there's a eye-watering 28 times you're going to play the. He just goes round and round and round it, and the lyric is sending out an SOS, and he just goes round and round and round to an eventual fade out, if memory serves. So we're essentially got a verse and a chorus, and it just bats between those 3 times, and then goes back to the main riff 3 times, and that's the full song. Now, I like this song because it uses a little bit of bar chords at quite a sort of at a pace that I feel like a lot of people can follow it. And it's also got the rocky. So I think it's a really good place to start. Don't let the stretches put you off. Please persevere with it. I remember as a teenager, all I ever wanted to do when I was learning to play the guitar when I first started was Smells Like Teen Spirit. Now, if you've learned how to play Smells Like Teen Spirit before, you'll know that it uses a power chord using fret 1 of the low E string and fret 3 of the A string. Now, for the life in me, I couldn't make this stretch over here. I really struggled. I'd get the 2nd fret, but I wouldn't be able to get up to the 3rd fret. Now, over time, your hands will start to sort of spread out, and it'll start to feel more comfortable. Message in a bottle, you're essentially stacking 2 of those quite difficult stretch on top of each other. And I'd encourage you, rather than doing sort of an hour and really kind of hitting it hard and trying to get it under your fingers, why don't you spread it out over a week and spend 10 minutes of your practice session 6 times during the week instead of once for 60 minutes, just coming back to it and kind of just getting your hands used to the idea of you can stretch that a little bit further than you think, but you've just got to be in a way that you've got to work on it. It's like most things. I promise you it'll come. There's nobody I haven't been able to teach this yet. You just need to be patient and just keep showing up, and it will eventually happen. Tones wise, like I said before, I'm using this lovely Fender Jaguar today just because I wanted a jangly kind of Fender sound. Andy Summers is well known for playing Strats and Telecasters, more notably Telecasters kind of when the Police were in the prime, and then Stratocasters later on. He was also a user of high watt amps for his clean tones, mixed with a little bit of Marshall crunch as well. So he'd run 2 amplifiers at the same time, and he'd use a lot of effects like choruses and phasers and flanges and things. I'm using my Quad Cortex today with a high watt in the left-hand side and a little crunchy Marshall in the right-hand side. And I think it's pretty close. How would I do that with something like a Boss Katana at home? I'd put it on the crunch setting and take the gain all the way down. So it just add a little bit of bark. I'm also using an analog delay as well, maybe just a smidge of that. And I would use the chorus in the modulation section, and I'd put the chorus up to probably 30 or 40%, up to about 9 o'clock, let's say, 9 or 10 o'clock, and plenty of reverb, and it should get you somewhere where you need to be. So, hopefully that was helpful. Don't forget, head to the website, get the sheets completely for free. It's definitely going to help you with this, and be patient with those stretches. It will come. I will see you next week for another guitar lesson. Thank you so much for watching.